Well, welcome back to our three-part series on C3A, the COVID Cleaning Capacity Assessment, with its inventor, Tom Jackson, the COO and Director of Strategy here at Microshare. Tom, when we left off in part one, we were promising the audience that we would dig in a bit on occupancy monitoring, help them understand what it is and how it is relevant to this use case. So let's start with that. What is occupancy monitoring?
So great, Mike. Occupancy monitoring is where we take individual sensors and we place them in multiple different spaces in an office building, whether that's conference rooms, restrooms, open floor space areas where people would normally have their open desktops, and we actually apply those monitors and allow those monitors to determine how much time people are spending in individual spaces, and that varies quite a bit. People think when an office is busy that all of the office is being used, but that's not necessarily true. When people are at the office, they're in meetings, they may be out to lunch, they may be in a different area of the building. So the utilization levels vary by space. And unless you have a tool that allows you to granularly track that, you wouldn't really know that, and you wouldn't be sure how much usage of space took and how much effort it takes to clean that space.
So we have a lot of facilities now that are empty in them, or at least operating on relatively low capacity. How would people know occupancy level that they need to prepare for when people come back to work?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways that they can think of that. Most organizations have occupancy plans, and in most cases there was a kind of a staged plan for return to work. So we can make assumptions about what percentage of staffing are going to come back over what period of time, and we can look at that over a 2-month period, a 3 or 4 month period, or a 6-month period, and just estimate what we think the level of staffing will be. Different organizations are looking at that return to work in different ways. Many of them have to meet local requirements for social distancing and other things like that. But we can make estimates to determine what we think the impact is in terms of the percentage of people coming back to the office over month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4. And that allows us to plug that into a model and figure out what we think that means in terms of occupancy and cleaning.
So this is all meant to allow someone to discover additional capacity within the fixed resource that they entered this emergency period with, right? So how does that work?
Well, people start by thinking that the incremental work they need to do has to be incremental on top of the already existing level of work. But if you begin looking and seeing that there's a bunch of the space, a large percentage of the space that isn't being used, then you have the opportunity to redeploy those resources and apply them against the incremental cleaning that needs to be done. So simply stated, if you start with your beginning budget and your beginning resource capacity, and you figure out what your incremental capacity is that you need to clean, and then you compare that to what the current utilization rate is in a space. If the utilization rate is 20% or 30% of that initial budget number, and your incremental cleaning is only 10%, that initial capacity reduces from 100% to 20%, and then you add that 30% on top of that, and now they're only at 50% utilization of the space, including the incremental cleaning. So I call that the value equation, and it's a pretty straightforward idea, and we talk about that when we make the C3A assessment tool available to people.
Well, Tom, that'll do it for part 2. I know next time we're going to look at how you get traction in how we deploy this system. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for listening, and I hope you'll join us for part 3. And for now, this is Michael Moran saying thank you on behalf of Tom Jackson, and my colleagues at Microshare.
Thanks, Mike.